from Huddersfield Star Wheelers Cycling Club. Welcome to the GCN Show.
G'day from Sydney, Australia.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Yeah.
I'm Thomas Low, coming from Hong Kong. Welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show. This week we have got a tech special with some very cool tech spotted at the Giro d'Italia. We round up all the race action from an action-packed 3 days in Sardinia. And John, is it just me today?
Yeah, afraid so.
Okay, we've got all your usual favourites, including Hack and Bodge, with a chainkeeper possibly making it in despite Dan's absence. We've got Wattage Bazooka, a very cool competition time, and tweet of the week too. Let's get going. As I'm sure you know, we absolutely love a good bit of tech here at GCN, and the last few days have been incredible for new tech, both at the Giro and away from the Giro. So it made sense, this week's GCN show is a tech special. I can't wait to get started. First up, we've got an announcement from DT Swiss. This is literally just in. DT Swiss have announced their 2018 wheel range. It consists of two lines, Aero and Performance. And I'd really like to focus on the Aero line. So the DT Swiss Aero wheel set is going to come in three depths, 80, 62 and 48, and in both rim and disc brake versions. But what's really interesting about what DT Swiss have done with this wheel set is the way that they've gone about designing them. So they've defined two types of drag. There's translational drag, which I think is probably easiest to think of as pretty much anything that creates drag or resistance on your bike. So it could be your position on the bike, it could be your helmet, it could be the frame, it could be the handlebars, whatever. And then specific to wheel sets, there's rotational drag. Now, they reckon that around 25% of any wheel set's drag does come from this rotational drag, so they think they have identified some seriously very, very big ways to make their wheels significantly more aero. They're not stopping here though, they are promising further developments with this identification of rotational drag. Moving on from that, the performance range is going to be working on improving their existing line of wheel sets, so there's also going to be some very cool stuff there too. Moving on from DT Swiss wheels to women's specific bikes, Canyon have had a women's team for a couple of seasons now. Arguably, on a side note, I think their women's team may have one of the coolest kits in either the men's or the women's peloton. But all the while they've been racing, they have been racing for the most part on unisex bikes. But Canyon have been working very, very hard behind the scenes to develop a women's specific range of bikes taking into account all the needs of female cyclists. Personally, I had no idea of the depth of differences that went into men's bikes design versus women's bike design, but I was absolutely fascinated to find out, and Canyon have made changes including 650B wheels, which you might be familiar with if you're a mountain biker, for the two smallest bike sizes. Friend of GCN, Lucy Martin, joined us to head over to the launch of the range to find out a bit more.
So one of the main differences is the smaller bikes that you've made, you can really see the smaller wheel size. And what was the reason for Canyon actually doing that?
Yeah, one of the biggest issues we were facing is that we couldn't create a bike as small as we like to. So now we are creating a 3 extra small that's even one frame size smaller than we had before. The reason is that women are actually smaller than men, and we wanted to fit actually as many women as we could on a bike. So we started with the body height from 1 meter and 52 centimeters. So each woman which is bigger than that can ride a bike right now and is getting the best performance out of the bike.
Moving from Canyon, a German bike manufacturer, to Lapierre, a French bike manufacturer. This one is still super under the radar. It's the Lapierre Aircode 2. It's very new to the UCI's approved bikes list, but it does look like certain FDJ riders are trialling this aero bike at the Giro d'Italia. Without getting too close to the bikes, it's very hard to spot the differences between this and the previous model, but there are silver logos on the head tube instead of the standard non-silver ones, and also you can spot the slightly different name on the UCI approved sticker on the seat tube. Very cool stuff. Staying with bikes spotted at the Giro, I actually got a bit of flack in the comments for this one for saying that my favourite feature of the new Cervélo R5 was the very well hidden seat clamp. I kind of stand by that. I do think it's very cool, but as more information becomes available, I will revise this opinion. This bike is the genesis of the undercover camo paint job bike that Dan spotted back at the Dubai Tour. Dan, of course, did formerly ride for the Cervélo test team. Several riders at Team Dimension Data are racing on the new R5 at this year's Giro, and I look forward to, well, sharing more information with you guys as and when it becomes available. Yet another new bike that's pretty freshly UCI approved is the Merida Reacto 3. While we were waiting for Matt's pre-Giro ride with Vincenzo Nibali to begin, we were kind of just, browsing, looking around the Bahrain Merida team truck and team area, and we spotted this not particularly subtle paint job on an aero bike. On closer inspection, the UCI approved sticker does read Merida Reacto 3. The paint job is clearly designed still to hide some of the shapes from other manufacturers and just to generate a bit of interest. The bike actually didn't have a rider at the Bahrain Merida team yet for the Giro, but we are assured that we will see it being raced before the end of May. From new frames and new bikes to new tyres, Zipp have announced their first move into the tubeless tyre market. This of course makes sense. Zipp do make tyres and they've been making tubeless ready wheels for a while now. The Tangente RT25 and RT28 are respectively 25mm and 28mm wide, and this is a particularly promising point for the weak-armed GCN presenters. Apparently they don't even need a tyre lever to fit, which if you've ever spent hours wrestling with tubeless tyres, as I have in my mountain bike days, will come at a huge relief. Back to Italy now, and bike brands, of course especially Italian bike brands, tend to bring out their big guns when it comes to designing very cool custom kit for use during the Giro. Our friends at Fizik have done exactly this, bringing out a very, very nice pair of R1B Climb Shoes for their shoe-sponsored riders. The design of the shoes is inspired by the profile of the penultimate stage, which sounds like an absolute brute and which is very near Fizik's offices. When it comes to custom shoes in the Pro Peloton, you can't go without talking to Adam Hansen. Adam's a bit of a legend. Not only does he have one of the most interesting on-bike positions and ways of thinking about his position on the bike, he also makes his own shoes. We caught up with him at a very frantic Stage 2 start just to find out a bit more about his latest version. I can't believe how much they weigh.
So are these a new version of the shoes?
They are the new version of the shoes, yes.
What's changed?
Mostly cosmetic, but also I use a different tape fibre around the outside. They're not very clean at the moment because I was in a bit of a rush, but you can see this line here. So that's all reinforcement there for the side, it's like a tube design. So it's more stiff, a little bit lighter, so I can use less fibres, more stiff, more lighter, so it's better shoe.
What's the weight of them now per shoe?
Well, these ones are 83 grams. I do have lighter ones, but these are just perfect. The lighter ones, they're very fragile, where these are, they're very robust. And they're very, very stiff, so I think this is, for me it's hard to imagine I can make a lighter, more stiffer shoe.
Caption of the week now, and this week's winner of the GCN Camelback bottle for their caption underneath the picture of Tom Bonan and his musical friends is Tihan, who captioned this: introducing MC Cobble and DJ Easy Watts. I really like that, I think it's very funny. This week's caption photo is this image of Fernando Gaviria celebrating his Stage 3 victory at the Giro d'Italia and his Maglia Rosa. I'm going to get you started, and I'm sure you can beat it, so comment below with your captions with, well, it was hot out there, I needed to cool down. Is that right?
I think they can definitely beat it, Tom.
You can definitely beat it. Comment below with your caption.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
This year's Giro d'Italia is of course tainted by great sadness with the passing of Giro legend Michele Scarponi and of up-and-coming riders Chad Young and Linas Ramsas. A minute's silence was held in honour of all three before the start of Stage 1, and there was a particularly poignant moment during the team presentation. Astana felt they just couldn't replace Scarponi, who was due to be their team leader for the race, so they will race the Giro with 8 riders. And as the 9th rider, Scarponi was called onto the stage during the team presentation. There was a huge round of applause from the crowd, the biggest of the evening. The Bardiani CSF team are racing this Giro under a cloud of uncertainty and with just 7 riders after 2 of their racers were withdrawn on the eve of the race following non-negative tests for something called GH-releasing peptides. The team, the race and the UCI will await the results of the B test to decide on their course of action, but the reason it's so uncertain is that in theory the team could already have been withdrawn from the race following those 2 non-negative tests. Coal rolling has been banned in Colorado. And if you're like me, you may not have known what coal rolling was before you heard that news, so let me give you a quick explainer. It's basically, as far as I can tell, when an exhaust is perhaps illegally modified to give off a big cloud of fumes when you put your foot down. Now, this is great news for cyclists because, first of all, it's very unpleasant to ride through a cloud of black smoke, and also the fact that it's now illegal will hopefully cut down on it being used as a way to harass groups of cyclists or individual cyclists out on the road. But I don't think it's just good news for cyclists, because driving through a big cloud of black smoke can't be that pleasant either, and good for the environment too. So great news all round in Colorado. From coal rolling to descending now, and probably most of the Giro peloton would have been pretty relieved at the news that the best descender competition at the race was cancelled after a lot of uproar, after people realised that it was happening. Now, this one caused a lot of debate in the comments as well, from potential strategies to reasons why it should be included to reasons why it shouldn't be included. Let me grab my laptop and have a look at some of the comments. First one came in from Bucket List Fit, who, well, it's a potential strategy suggestion really, which we will have to wait and see because it's not happening this year. They said, to win the descending comp, would it be best to fall off the back of the bunch before the start, then sprint up and catch them, and then draft the rest of the way? Possibly, although I think you probably want a clear run on some of the more technical descents. There's a comment from Todd Holmes about the colour of the jersey, although there wasn't actually a jersey as such for this classification. It was just going to be taken on time with the numbers and points fed back to the fans at the end of the race. And then we had one in favour here. So 2006 P2 rider said, looking forward to the Great Descending Comp. Great idea. Now, the peloton, like I said, will be relieved at the news that the descending competition isn't happening, which I think for us as cycling fans is ultimately good news, because if the peloton aren't happy to race, then we might not get to see good racing on the stage at least. However, the Giro organisers did seem pretty frustrated that they had to cancel this classification. So it will be interesting to see. The RCS, the organisers, do organise a lot of major cycling events. So it's going to be interesting to see if they bring it in an adapted form at a future race. Watch this space, I guess. Although safe to say, if it ever did happen, it will look absolutely nothing like this Red Bull footage from a few years ago where they had a race down a road descent. This is can't be. Competition time now, and if you didn't get this one last week, we are giving away not just one, but two Canyon women's specific road bikes. Oh yes, both of our winners will be chosen at random from all correct entrants. So if you haven't entered yet, you can enter via the link in the description once you finish watching the show. Well, the competition link will work before you finish watching the show, but watch the rest of the show. It's going to be good, promise. The first Grand Tour of the year, the Giro d'Italia, has started on the beautiful island of Sardinia. And although the first three stages on Sardinia weren't exactly pan-flat, they were also nowhere near the most brutal stages of the race. So it was actually three opportunities for some of the sprint names to take victories. Stage one was a coast-to-coast run from Alghero to Olbia, and as is usual on those nervous early stages, a day-long break went, including riders like Daniel Tekla-Hymanot of Team Dimension Data and Cesare Benedetti of Bora Hansgrohe. Benedetti took all three King of the Mountains preems to take the jersey ahead of the next stage. From there, it was over to the sprinters teams on the run-in to Olbia. The run-in wasn't too technical, but there was one pinch point with a few kilometres to go that claimed some casualties, including Sylvain Dillier of BMC's left crank. From there on in, the lead-out trains took over, and Lucas Postelberger of Bora Hansgrohe did such a good job leading out his teammate Sam Bennett that he got a gap on the peloton and went all the way to take the stage victory. It was really nice to see, actually, and if you look at the pictures here of Postelberger, you can see that he actually couldn't quite believe what he'd done. With that stage win, as it was the first stage, he of course took the Maglia Rosa, the leader's jersey too. Stage two was the hilliest stage of the Giro on Sardinia. It took the riders over 6 hours to complete the 221-kilometre route from Olbia to Tortoli, but despite the hills and despite the time in the saddle, it was still one for the sprinters. Their teams took over on the final technical and rapid descent into Tortoli, and it was Andre Greipel who took the stage win and the Maglia Rosa with it. Which does just leave us wondering what Matt and Dan could have done if they were there. The wind was expected to complicate things in the finale of Stage 3, and it didn't disappoint. With one of the strongest classics teams in the peloton, it's no surprise to see Quick-Step Floors dominating in situations like this, and their rider, Luxembourg champion Bob Jungels, was the first one to crack the peloton just inside 10 kilometres to go. He formed a small break and was joined by teammates including Maximiliano Ricchesi, Fernando Gaviria, and other riders including our Instagram takeoverer, Nathan Haas, and Italian champion Giacomo Nizzolo. With two teammates in the break, Gaviria was the dead-set favourite for the sprint and didn't disappoint, taking the stage victory, and with it, because they had a slight gap on the peloton, the Maglia Rosa.
Hey Tom, really sorry I can't be on the GCN show this week. Sadly, I'm over in Sicily for stages 4 and 5 of the Giro d'Italia. Of course, particularly crucial stage on Mount Etna. Could be the first real GC shake-up, I think. But yeah, so I'm living it. It's a bit rough here, as you can see. I'm in Cervélo. This is the start town for stage 4 of the Giro. The hotel's just opposite. Yeah, Lasty, I'm really sorry I couldn't make it. I'm going to have to check out the scenery over there and just make sure everything's okay. But anyway, back to you in the GCN studio. Have a good show.
After a packed spring classic schedule, the Women's World Tour held its first stage race of the season over in China at the Tour of Chongming Island. This one is often down as a race for the sprinters, and this year was very much the same, with all 3 stages finishing in bunch sprints. Kirsten Wild took the first stage, which was marred by a crash towards the end. Wiggle High Five's Julian Dior did incredibly well though after that crash to limit her losses. She went on to take victories on the 2nd and 3rd stages and the overall classification to boot. Wild took the 2nd spot overall, and Ale Cipollini's Chloe Hosking came in 3rd. It's time now for hack / Matt bodge of the week. And this is probably a pretty difficult section to roll through solo, so let me know if you think I get any of these hacks or bodges wrong down in the comments. First up, we have got this one from John Moore, who found it in his office bike shed, and someone has attached a bit of twig via zip ties to the basket on the front of their city bike, which they've then attached their light to. It's kind of bodgy, but it's a bodgy hack because, you know, it's a basket, the basket's wooden anyway. I'm actually tending towards hack for that. I think that is practical and doesn't look too terrible. Dan will be pleased with this one. I did warn you that there might be a chain catcher hack or bodge of the week at the start. Dan has decreed that any chain catcher has to be a hack, and this one I'd have to agree with him. This is a 3D printed through axle chain keeper designed by Richard Litton. That's a hack, that's pretty cool. Moving on. We've got this one from Mate Nagy, who has said, how to recycle your used inner tube. Fix your computer with it to the rear rack. Hashtag MacGyver. That's a bodge. There is no way that that is a hack. Actually, if you crashed or if like the way you've attached it failed and your laptop went everywhere. No, not cool, not cool. Next up, Jimmy Cran, who said he needed his prescription lenses basically in his helmet visor, so he didn't have to use contacts. Is taping, I guess, an old pair of glasses lenses, and that does look very much like he's used sellotape to attach them to the inside of his helmet visor, a hack or a bodge? I think it's a bodge. John, what do you think?
Yeah, bodge.
Sounds like a bodge, doesn't it? Okay. Moving forward from that, Christopher Espeo, who has sent in this picture. It is one of his mates. Strictly like, this is definitely something that your mate would do. You would never really want to admit to doing this. I've probably already given away that I think it's a bodge. His friend was so worried about his head unit running out of battery that he attached a charger pack to his down tube using what looks like black insulating tape. I get why you've done it, but I think it's ugly, and I think that's a bodge. Definitely. It's a lovely Cervélo S3, and you've gaffer taped an Amazon power pack to it. No. Travis John McGarry was at a local race in Mallorca and spotted this dude, and we've commented steering lock, which is pretty funny. But anyway, it's a steering wheel attached to a bike with a lock, making sure that the range of movement isn't too big. Definite bodge. It's a Peugeot steering wheel though. The steering wheel's bigger than the front wheel. It's got tiny wheels. Mental. Tamas Sisak, previous GCN competition winner, commented in, definitely a bodge, but a classy one. An oldish but slick thing. Yeah, it's a bodge. Don't try it at home. You will get splinters probably in a lot of places you don't want. It looks horrible to me. Old broomstick for handlebars. John, hack or bodge?
Bodge.
Bodge. Dave at dmalcolm1999, again on Twitter, again using the hashtag GCNHack, which is probably the best way to get your hack or bodge discovered. When your £1,000 Di2 battery runs out of charge and you need the big ring to get home, wedge a bit of wood in between that and the frame. Bodge. Bodge, bodge, bodge. And, well, fortunately that brings us to the end of hack or bodge this week. That said, it is pretty much my favourite section of the show any given week, so do let us know your hacks and bodges on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. All you need to do is to use the hashtag GCNHack, even if it is a bodge. GCNHack is on screen now. New in the GCN shop this week, we have got our ASOS Pro hats. So we've got this one, in black and red. We've got a black and grey hat. And we've got this black, grey and red hat. I think peak up. Also during May, we have got a limited run of some t-shirts, hoodies and sweats. We have this pink logo GCN t-shirt, this pink logo GCN sweatshirt, and we've got this pink logo GCN hoodie. All of the ASOS Pro Team caps that I've just mentioned and all of our ASOS Pro Team kit is available to order on the GCN shop. All three of the limited edition items for May which I mentioned, so the t-shirt, the sweatshirt and the hoodie, are on organic cotton and are printed using water-based inks. If you'd like to check out any of the items and buy them, there is a link to the GCN shop down in the description, and there's going to be a link on screen at the end of this video too, if you can hold on that long. Deep breath, and you might need to use Matt or Sai doing this, but it's time now for GCN's Wattage Bazooka. Wattage Bazooka time. We have got, if I can get that back in, which I can't, I'll leave it on the desk. We have got not just one, but two viewer wattage bazookas this week. The first one was sent in by Daniel Kennedy, who nominated himself, well, I think we'll allow that, for his very impressive Criterium win. Check this out. Very cool, Daniel. Good stuff. And finally, this is one of my favourites we've received yet. Paul Maguire has nominated his son Jacob, who has climbed Mont Ventoux twice in the last week in a time of 2 hours and 25 minutes. That's seriously impressive stuff. Big potential there. Don't forget, if you would like to nominate yourself or a mate for Wattage Bazooka, use the hashtag Wattage Bazooka on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. And now for the Pro Wattage Bazooka. As you probably know, this is an award that we don't often like to give to stage winners. We like to reward the kind of plucky but failed massive efforts with this one, but for me it just has to go to Lucas Postelberger of Bora Hansgrohe. He's a rider whose Twitter bio still reads, "Finally gone pro," and if you saw the way he attacked or unintentionally attacked in the final kilometre of stage 1 of the Giro, he even radioed his teammate Sam Bennett at 600 metres to go to check where he was. I think you just can't help but be in awe of the watts he put out and just to be happy for the guy. It's always great to see the domestiques take the win. Actually, the Bora Hansgrohe team was so happy that the team staff used their entire supply of pink socks for the Giro leader by wearing them before the stage. It was quite sweet.
Hi, I'm Nathan Haas, riding for Team Dimension Data. This week I'm taking over the GCN Instagram. Follow us on it and hope you enjoy the Giro.
Comment of the week now, and a few of you picked up on the colour of my neck during our tech video, including William Amaral, who commented, "Nice to see how Tom was committed to the Giro colours, nice pink tan." Thanks, William. Also Scott Turner, who said, "Judging by the colour of his neck, Tom Lasty is trying to get himself into pink as well," crying emoji. I also got a lot of feedback on my pronunciation of Bianchi. Bianchi, so there we go, Bianchi, corrected it, hopefully. Finally, underneath a couple of Matt's videos, we had C Santos 2 commenting, "Without Matt's help with the penne, I don't think Geraint would have passed that test." Coming up on the channel this week, we have got Giro d'Italia content running every single day this week, which you should definitely check out. But aside from that, on Wednesday, we have how to take a bottle or musette from the side of the road. On Thursday, we've got 4 things that you should definitely take with you on an adventure ride. On Friday, it's Ask GC Anything. Don't forget that you can get your questions in for that using the hashtag TalkBack on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. On Saturday, we have got a pro bike from the Giro d'Italia. On Sunday, it's the climbing challenge, which is going to be particularly useful for those of us who do find climbing rather painful, I think. And on Monday, we've got a video where we investigate, does jet washing your bike really wreck your bearings? I'm interested to see the results of that. And on Tuesday, it is the GCN show, and it is the 227th episode.
From Puerto Rico, this is the GCN show.
It's time now for Extreme Corner. Although the Downhill World Cup in Lords happened a couple of weeks ago, we thought that we should bring you a few highlights. As you might expect, being downhill, it was without doubt extreme. But in the men's race, towards the end, things got even more extreme when some serious mountain weather rolled in. Here are a few of the best bits. Well, that is about it for the GCN show this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and share this one with your mates too. Before you go, leave your Caption competition efforts down in the comments and also let us know your thoughts on the week in cycling, because we do read all of your comments. If you haven't already subscribed to GCN, just click our logo, which is on screen right now. Also on screen is a link to our shop where you can pick up all of the limited edition swag that I mentioned earlier in the show. To see a roundup of the best tech from the Giro d'Italia, just click over here. And to see Matt Stevens versus Geraint Thomas from the Giro d'Italia, just click over here. And give us a thumbs up.